My name is Faye Hendrickson. I'm the head of outreach at AMI, and it is my pleasure to introduce you to three change makers. Gabriela Molinar is the president of Montessori Mexico, and she holds AMI diplomas for the assistance to infancy and primary level, and she is the founder of Huerto Urbano, the first permaculture urban farm in Mexico. Then we have Eder Cuevas. Eder Cuevas is the executive director of Montessori Mexico and development director of Montessori de Chihuahua, with 20 years of experience. Eder has an AMI diploma at 6 to 12 level from Bergamo, Italy, along with the AMI NAMTA Adolescent Orientation in Ohio. He studied education and physical education with a master's degree in sports psychology and education, and he has been part of the AMI adolescent programs. And he's also a Montessori sports consultant and international speakers. Then we have Juan Felipe Restrepo Mesa, who is the knowledge management chief and Beyond Montessori's research group leader for Colegio Montessori de Cartagena, Colombia. And he's also a marine biologist who uses bird watching and citizen science to promote authentic and meaningful learning experience. And we do expect to have some time for questions at the end. So if you have a question, please type it in the Q&A section. And it is my pleasure to hand the floor to Gabi first.
Muchas gracias, Faye. Thank you so much. And thank you for inviting us and giving us the opportunity to share a project that we have been working on for the past few years. And it has been a dream, and we're actually already there. So before we start talking about this specific project in Montessori Mexico, we would like to give you a little bit of context of who we are and what we have been doing for the past few years in order to get to the point that we're at right now. So you can see my screen, right, Eder? Okay, excellent. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about who we are. Montessori Mexico is an AMI affiliated society focused on maintaining and promoting Montessori education and the quality standards of AMI. It was formally established in 2010 after several decades of intensive work from many people engaged in the Montessori history. So we have a lot of history and a lot of background in our association. Currently, the organization is formed by guides, trainers, heads of schools, parents, and people who are interested in the Montessori mission. Let me just move my camera. Montessori Mexico seeks to be an aid to life for families, guides, schools, and individuals interested in the Montessori movement by strengthening their work through trainings, courses, and to fulfill their missions. Currently, we are working on involving and inviting individuals from very different backgrounds to initiatives that Montessori Mexico is organizing, committees, and several events that we are organizing. Our mission is to be inspiration, to create and support multiple efforts in our country and region, to give dignity and quality of life to society, strengthening our core by adhering to the Montessori principles. And to the three pillars of the strategic plan has allowed us to build a solid platform onto which we can construct and plan different strategies to fulfill our mission. This is a very important point that we're going to be talking about a little bit today before we talk about our project, because we realized that we needed Montessori Mexico to have a solid foundation in order to add on different projects that have been inspiration from other organizations around the world. And we do believe that our fundamental key in expanding our work has been our consistency and our congruence in the Montessori principles, which has been enabling us to reach our possibilities we once believed impossible, such as working in rural areas, prisons, indigenous communities, the elder, orphanages, and more. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a small timeline, and I'm going to be very quick on it so we can start talking about this specific project that we have been working on. But all of this timeline has actually allowed us to get to that point. So in April in 2019, there was a major shift in the Montessori movement in Mexico. There was a renewal of the board. And there was also, for the first time in Montessori Mexico, the position of the executive director, which is Eder Cuevas, opened up. So immediately after Eder and I entered in 2019, we knew that we had an assembly, an ESF assembly in Tepoztlan. And really, Eder and I think were very unprepared and really didn't realize the impact and the potential that this assembly will have or would have had in our community and our society, and specifically in us. And this was a shifting point for us. It was such a deep and profound moment for us where we realized the work ahead and the work that we needed to do in Montessori Mexico. So before beginning all of this work, we turned inwards into our association, and we realized that we had to work on building strong pillars in order to build up several and different projects that we were dreaming back then. So we started working with an expert in strategic planning, and what we did is we adhered our strategic plan to the AMI strategic plan and to the 3 pillars. And so we based our work line with AMI's work line. We did also renew our visual identity, and we did a lot of research on what we wanted to portray and how we wanted the community to see Montessori Mexico. So we did a lot of planning on that also. And we also connected with an expert in nonprofit organizations that allowed us to give a different structure of functioning in our society. We also did a division on strategic projects of Montessori Mexico that actually gives sustainability to the association. And we also assigned what we call web projects, and that is what we are going to be talking about today. Afterwards, after doing all of that work and feeling that we were at a point where we were strong enough to take on the web projects, we started doing formal invitations to the community to form part of these committees. And one of those invitations was invite a project manager to specifically work on the web projects. And it's very amazing how things fall into place, because this specific person actually attended the assembly, ESF assembly in Tepoztlan. And she reached out to us at that point and said, you know, if Montessori Mexico is going to do something in social impact, in social work, I want to be involved. So we actually right now are at a point where we managed to do that, and she's already involved in our project. And then afterwards, the team, this specific team, started with a definition of purpose, what we wanted to do, and Eder is going to talk to you a little bit about that. And they started also working on the visual identity of the project. And then afterwards, things have fallen into place where people have been reaching to us from penitentiaries in Mazatlan and in Monterrey in order to see if we are available to start working with different associations in the Montessori work line. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what are our strategic programs and what are our web programs and how we manage to organize our association to be able to work on all of this. So we have our board, and our board which is the association, and our association is handling directly different committees, and we call these strategic programs, which is the Congress. We have a national Congress in Montessori Mexico. We have a program that we just started that will be working with families. We have our committee of affiliations. We have our committee of administrators, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that later on. We also have a committee that works with the community. We have been publishing different articles that we send to the people that are affiliated. And we are also working on a Montessori retreat. All of these projects actually fall directly into the responsibility of our association. And then we have other projects that we call web projects that have more independence and that don't rely on the economic support of our association. And they do rely on an independent funding. We have several ideas and we have several projects, but our first project that we are just launching and starting to work is our ESF project. And Eder will talk to you about that. These are examples of the strategic programs that we have been doing that helps us sustain and enrich our community, and that can actually allow us to have a more stable association in order to work on our web projects. And we did a ¿cómo se dice taller? A workshop for yes, thank you, Eder, for the elderly, and we also did a directive workshop. And we also have, this is something new that we have been working and offering our affiliated individuals, that once a month we meet to do several Montessori readings and share our points of views and share our experiences. And also we're going to be hosting hold on, a retiro. ¿Cómo se dice retiro en inglés, Eder?
Retreat.
A retreat,
yeah.
A Montessori retreat, which will allow us to deepen our work in Montessori. And I am going to just leave you with this picture, because this is a picture of the group that attended the ESF in Tepoztlán. And this is really our turning point. This is where it all started. And this was our inspiration. And this is where Eder will take on and share the work that we've been doing from this point on.
Thank you, Gabi. Well, Gabi has explained to us details about the journey of Montessori Mexico, an amazing path full of joy and hope. Thank you there. And with kindness and with service, we know that there are several programs that are running in Mexico, most of them by individuals and not-profit organizations, with the goal of implementing Montessori principles in different settings. So this event, the assembly that we host here in Tepoztlán, it was truly an inspiration. It was amazing to see how the different countries are doing great contributions to the humanity, and different, really talking about the different settles and the different places that they are running these programs, giving us the idea and the vision to do something really more organic as an organization in Mexico, because we know that in several parts of the whole country are some efforts, and some of them are really well structured, some of them are not, and there's a lot of people that wants to do something else and doing it in a Montessori way. So we are working in creating a structure to support and develop more programs as a prepared environment for Montessori in different settings, with the commitment of an aid to life or humanity. So can you change to the next slide, please, Gabi? Thank you. So that's the name of the network that we're going to work with as a prepared environment for all these effort in the social impact, is Horme. And we believe that this specific word that Montessori gave us is really important, and understand has an impulse to all the organization, but also the efforts of the people. So we're working in this structure. Is a really amazing thing that we're working together with the trainers and with people that is already running an organization, a nonprofit organization in different parts of Mexico. And of course, we as a Montessori Mexico are looking for do more and really more serious work. In the next slide, I'm gonna show you kind of the things that we're that are right now in Mexico in different parts. Some of them are working with the indigenous population in Quintana Roo and Chihuahua and around Coahuila, and there are different states that are working with this program. There's also one person that is helping us in Horme that has a wonderful program in Oaxaca. And so we're really happy because we're getting together, and we know that this is going to be amazing because we're getting stronger in that way. We're thinking as how to share the experience that we have. And in the next slide, there is like to understand more about Horme. We believe that it's a prepared environment. It's first like a startup incubator, and in the other way, accelerator of the organization of the effort that is doing. And we believe that it's important creating networks, prioritizing interdependence. Montessori Mexico is not looking to take in the project, but how to help, how to give the exactly amount of help that they need, but not giving for us the like this is for Montessori Mexico. This is not looking for that part is looking more to help and to support that effort. The other is the outreach. We believe that, and we know that in several countries are doing an amazing work and given the importance of the Montessori principles in action. So that's why the outreach for us is important, because we always see our experience in the assembly is giving us exactly the inspiration that we need to move forward. And the collaboration, of course, because we are working side by side with government, with NGOs and other organizations, schools that they're looking for support more. They work not just for children, but also talking about aging, talking about the adolescents that we're going to see later. And Gabby mentioned some of the work that we're starting to do in prisons in Mexico. So the next slide is giving us the analytic structure of Horme. And the analytic structure is to understand the purpose, that is support the creation, development, and promotion of social projects under the Montessori umbrella. That this map is giving us the impression of how we are preparing all this to really go into the country to do a really well way to see this effort. The goals here is the higher impact in vulnerable communities and more supports for projects that work in the field, intangible on a core human, higher quantity of people working in social projects, clear exposure of Horme to better supporting existing projects, community building and construction and support systems. And talking about the components, of course, the definition of roles and internal structure that we should have, and the creation of a contact list of potential trainers and supporters that we already start this. A national call, we waiting a little bit to be more prepared to do a national call to map all these social Montessori projects. We know that they are around 10 or 15 projects right now running really well, but we know that there are several more that we have now about them. We need to go with them and to talk a little bit about what we want to do. Create a social profiles of Horme and evaluate the actual determination of the Montessori programs that require the qualities of the analysis. And what are the kinds of activities that we're looking for in Horme is, once the objectives are identified, and create an internal structure to better support the development of the projects. Identify individuals wanting to participate in projects and their specific role they're willing to take, because there are some of the persons that want to start any other thing, and some of them that wants to join projects that are really running, and involve expert supports in projects when needed, locate possible organizations that get benefit from Horme, create a platform in which all can interact, share, and work. We really believe that we, as a prepared environment, we need to put the table to start to share through different organizations. The experience is really important. And if we share the experience about how was in the beginning, how was in the middle term, and how was important, or what kind of companies are helping, what kind of the government procedure, because sometimes it's really hard in it that way, but how can we facilitate more this work of sharing and generate a mechanism of analysis to keep track and development the programs. And this will help us to share and to promote the independence of the projects, as I mentioned. So in the next slide, I'm going to give you some photos that we have of one of the projects that we're starting with one organization. And Mazatlan is the second largest city in the state of Sinaloa in the north of Mexico. It's also a tourist destination with many resorts, hotels, and at the Pacific Ocean. And Montessori Mexico starts to work there with Origami Vida Interna, that is a nonprofit organization created to support rehabilitation and social reintegration of people deprived of liberty as a crime prevention measure. After some conversation, we have working together to establish a program for children in Mazatlan prison. The mothers are their prisoners, and they are allowed to keep the children until 3 years old. So we all know that it's not a prepared environment for the development of the children. Therefore, we're working closely to develop an Aid to Life program with Montessori principles inside. I'm going to work next Monday. I'm going there to working with 3 children and with the mothers to check mothers and social-emotional development. And I'm going to work also with 2 pregnant women to talk a little bit about the newborn cares. 2 Montessori schools are there, and one and my training center are supporting material advisory, and are willing to support the development of the project. So we also want to extend this effort to more prison in Mexico, as Gabby mentioned in the first map in Monterrey. So this is the photos of the place. You know, there is one classroom. It's like a classroom that they want to share with us, and we can transform this room to an Aid to Life room. So we're working really closely to get all the forms that we already have persons that they have the will to giving us all the supports to transform this place. So in the next slide, we're going to talk. So at first, I want to mention that there is one quote for Montessori that is really helping us to understand what we should do. The Dr. Montessori says, when humanity can fully perfect its spirit, it will be most productive, and economic aspect will lose its preponderant value. Humans do not produce with the feet and with the body, but with the spirit and intelligence. And when these have reached the degree of development that they should have, all insoluble problem will be resolved. And we know that we can do more. We know that we have to move forward, but we have to take care of all the structure first in order to do a better and transcendent work. We understand that we have to take care of that part. It's a sensitive period to move forward, but we need to really well organized and to move forward. And trying to do as an introduction of the next work that Juan Felipe will be sharing, from child to adolescence, and the work that they are doing in Cartagena. I'm going to share some quotes in order to prepare for that, but to understand also that Horme wants to work also with the adolescents. We know that everything that concerns education assumes today an importance of a general kind and must represent protection and a practical aid to life development of men. That is to say, its mode aim at improving the individual in order to improve society. So this is why it's important, the adolescence, with the real thing, assuming that the education should be really focused in what is happening right now, the reality, and how the adolescent can approach this. The next slide shows you another quote from Maria Montessori from Oxford Tilt Lectures lecture, the last, yeah, that one. And the crucial point is that we have to make real the social independence of men. The child sentiments are changing now, talking about the adolescents. He is no longer satisfied to be the pet of the household. It's really a strong thing. He has a sense of dignity. He feels that he is observant. He does not wish to be held at less worth than others. So that's why it's important the adolescents taking part of how we apply as a social mission the Montessori principle. And the last quote that is talking about the ability, the adaptability, because adaptability is the most essential quality. This says Montessori from childhood to adolescence. So it's my pleasure to introduce Juan Felipe and talking about the great work that they are doing in Cartagena.
Thank you, Eder. Thank you all. I'm going to share my screen, and I hope everything goes well. Please confirm that you are watching my screen, and let's move to the presentation mode. Okay, good morning in Colombia and in the regions of the world represented here. Good afternoon, good evening. My name is Juan Felipe Restrepo Mesa, and I am glad to share with you today, I think, a story that happens very often in every Montessori school worldwide. A tale of love, passion, commitment, and brotherhood. A story of consciousness of the self, of the other, of the environment, and something greater than each of us, a community. A story of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. A tale of change makers. I represent here today the Montessori School of Cartagena, founded in 1949 by Ana Elvira Roman, a private preschool, elementary, and middle and high school with nearly 1,000 students. Greeting to all my colleagues, our principal, Maria Teresa Garcia, our students, and their families. I dedicate this presentation to all of them because it wouldn't be possible without them. In 2019, 20 people from different countries, genders, and professional backgrounds related to education were invited to Montreal by the Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Education for Peace and Sustainable Development and the Fonds de Recherche du Québec to participate in a 3-day exercise reflecting on the purpose of education as a prelude of the International Scientific Evidence-Based Education Assessment. I thank God for letting me, representing the voice of a teacher, have the privilege of being among those 20 people represented in this multidisciplinary group as a witness of this historical inflection point in the history of contemporary education. We concluded after a 3-day intense deliberation that the purpose of education beyond 2030, once the objectives for sustainable development were reached, should be human flourishing, in contrast to the present purpose of human capital. Last week in Paris at the UNESCO Educational General Assembly, the Mahatma Gandhi Institute released to the world the International Scientific Evidence-Based Education Assessment Report, a 2.5 years study performed by 350 scientists from around the world, starting the most ambitious and challenging paradigmatic shift in education in the last 30 years since the Delors 4 Pillars report in 1996. The whole open source document can be downloaded from the MGIEP website. Among the 7 take-home recommendations, there are 2 of them I wanted to highlight today. Is the number 6 that says learner agency should be promoted by shifting from passive to active learning, where each learner actively engages in an experiment with information and the environment, and the relationship between the teacher and student are bi-directional. And number 7 that says multidisciplinary dialogue, research, and collaboration are needed to ensure different perspectives, understanding, and context to guide education and learning. The significant experience I am going to represent here today is precisely based on those 2 takeaways: bi-directional student-teacher relationship for an active teaching learning experience for both teacher and a student, and multidisciplinary multi-agency dialogues. It is fair to say that the most pressing global challenges we face are multidisciplinary and call for integrated problem solving. Those problems are so complex that we cannot afford the luxury of letting anyone's contribution to the possible solutions behind, particularly the young, our adolescents. They have a voice and choice, and with the right tools in their hands, a structured and prepared environment, and a loving, committed, and well-trained adult guide, they are perfectly capable of producing sound solutions to our most pressing problems. This is where we began 6 years ago. In Colombia, it is mandatory by law to have a school environmental project. It must be interdisciplinary and interinstitutional. So we wrote our PRAE declaring 5 action lines: solid residual management, biodiversity preservation, new spaces appropriation, citizenship and cyber citizenship, and adaptation to the effects of climate change. We also wanted to be part of the ONDAS program. ONDAS is the Colombian government STI office strategy to promote scientific research among kids and young from K to 12 in both official and private schools. In 2017, we enrolled 12 students in the program. They had to form a group, give it a name, and have teacher assistantship. Bolivar University of Technology, UTV, has operated ONDAS in our state Bolivar for nearly 70 years and provides support and counseling to the students, teachers, and schools. The group was christened with the name Montessori by the students. The ONDAS program gave those 12 students notions on research and scientific method, how to formulate a research question, how to organize data, how to analyze it, and how to draw conclusions and present them in a structured report. The program also provides a space to socialize the results in a structured scientific fair circuit, starting with local encounters, then at the state level, then nationally, and then internationally. Our school has this lovely place 20 kilometers from Cartagena in the city countryside, a 30-hectare, very well-preserved tropical dry forest with orchard, temescal, lakes, holding bridges, ecological trails, and comfortable dorm for 60 people, the Luna Forest Eco Park. We hope in the short term to open our Montessori Cartagena Earth Kinder there and welcome students from all the Montessori schools, not only in Colombia, but in Central America and Latin America as well, to spend time with us. You are all very welcome. Our first field trip as a research group to the Luna Forest Eco Park in an ecological expedition was in August 12, 2017. The trip aimed to learn how to recognize and count birds and tree species. In this first project, our students came to outstanding bird observations curated by experts in the citizen science platform iNaturalist, a virtual community of more than 2 million enthusiasts, scientists, and wildlife observers. Upon that experience, our students realized that their work was meaningful to science, that it matters. One of their observations, for example, the slender-billed tyrannulet, Inesia tenirostris, an endemic bird of the Caribbean region, was the first done to Bolivar, our State Department, and to the present time is the only observation registered in the iNaturalist platform. They also had the opportunity to realize the results of their project to socialize the results of their project in an amplified community of practice, the state-owned science fair, where they exchanged and mingled with more students of the same ages from different schools and different social and economic backgrounds. They classified the science fair nationals of that year and as one of the best scientific projects in the Colombian Caribbean region. All these experiences nurtured the love for birds, nature, and investigation, but above all, for their group Montessori. It was the moment when Montessori was born as an active adolescent community. The enthusiasm of those kids attracted others that wanted to be part of Montessori. They began to open their interest to diverse ecological causes. For example, there was this group of 4 7th-grader students who founded the movement All for the TT, the critically endangered white cotton tamarin monkey, Sanguinus oedipus, endemic of the Caribbean region. On their own, they made contact with the TT Foundation director, Dr. Rosamira Guillén, and volunteered to raise funds for their cause. Their enthusiasm was so contagious that the schools movement after 6 years is still present even after the pandemics. Today is not only one of the group's priorities, but a school cause. TT Foundation is one of our allies. We are providing their guides with Montessori methodology, training to make their impact in those needed communities even more effective. This is the power of an active, involved, and committed adolescent community. These pictures were taken last week and a day before yesterday, visiting very poor villages affected by violence for many years, where the TT Foundation is putting a great deal of effort to grow the tropical dry forest ecosystem, its flora and fauna conservation consciousness, the most threatened ecosystem in our country, in which only the 8% of its original coverage prevails. Our foundation, Niños de la Tierra and Colegio Montessori of Cartagena, got transformed by the commitment and determination of this bunch of enthusiastic change makers. In 2018, we decided to become a GLOVE school, and some of our adult guides got certified as GLOVE teachers. GLOVE is a citizen science worldwide initiative that promotes scientific observations by a student of all ages of the Earth variables in the biosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere, and atmosphere. Its mission is to increase awareness of individuals throughout the world about the global environment, contribute to increased scientific understanding of the Earth, and support improved student achievement in science and mathematics. Incorporating these scientific protocols gave the group more rigor in their observations and protocols, in the correct usage of tools, real tools and equipment that make this experience authentic, and let them broaden their scope in the projects they began to overcome. Montessori's project VO Expedition to the Mangrove and Dry Forest Ecotone, comparing birds communities into adjacent ecosystem, was recognized as the best ONDAS school research project nationally, and had the honor to represent Colombia in the International Science Fair of Mostratec in Novo Hamburgo, Brazil in November 2019, where the project was third runner-up of the international showroom. Nevertheless, what I want to highlight here goes even beyond the honor and the responsibility that means representing your country. It is the commitment that those kids acquire with the communities surrounding the wetlands where the mangrove and dry forest ecosystems are located. Through their observations in the field and the lab, they become profoundly and genuinely aware that these ecosystems are in real threat of irreversible consequences, starting as an active and involved community a series of strategies to make visible these overwhelming problems. Next week, they will be hosting a discussion panel regarding the Cartagena's Bay, the inner water channels, and the wetland systems with the most prominent CEOs of the NGOs operating in the area. Principles and slogans started to be adopted and frequently repeated by them, such as, alone you may go faster, but in group you certainly go farther. Small actions summed cause great impacts. Think globally, act locally, and the Montessori motto, science at community service. They began to express their love to the group as a supra entity, something bigger than them individually, and not only them, but their parents as well. I frequently hear expressions of gratitude to our school and to the group for offering such a space. And there are several testimonials of the kids and their parents expressing how the group has changed their lives and how thankful they are as families, because through the activities organized by the group, assisting needing communities, they have the chance to share quality time between parents and kids doing something meaningful. We have received expressions of gratitude from graduate students that decided to study non-scientific careers, recognizing how being part of Montessori let them acquire skills that have significantly contributed to their success at their universities. Today, Montessori has transcended frontiers. It is known literally from Patagonia through Alaska, due to the communities of practice we belong to. Even in India, in 2020, Mahatma Gandhi Institute invited our students to participate in talks across generations as part of the ISEE, and one of our young girl scientists, and today our group leader, had the honor of being a panelist in the closure ceremony online, having on board the Ministry of Education of India. Most of our students are already authors of books and magazine articles. They are recognized as leaders in broader communities of practice, such as Globe, Ondas, Iron, and Art School. More kids are joining the group, and we are blessed by having their parents' support. Once again, it was demonstrated, as it was proposed by Dr. Montessori, that through a structured and prepared environment, a loving and committed adult guide, and a meaningful cause, a group of adolescents transform themselves into an involved and active community, having the force and zest, as we used to say in our school motto, to make history by transforming the future. Montessori today, Montessori yesterday, and always Montessori. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Juan Felipe, for that very inspiring talk about the work in Cartagena. It's really incredible to see, and I think everybody, every student would be happy to have that environment around them as well. And Gabi and Eder, also thank you for sharing the work of Montessori Mexico and the innovation. And it's really amazing to see also what started with the ESF Assembly, which was really the catalyst for action. And it was a pleasure to work with you on that. And just to see how much has been achieved since then. We had one question from Marcella, because you addressed these different web projects that support vulnerable communities in Mexico. But the question is, what about the elderly? Are there any projects for them?
Yeah, of course. I mean, one of the person that is in Horme is Julia Ballesteros, that is the first elderly trainer from Hispanic population. So yeah, of course, she's part of that, and she will to do that. So we have no doubt that we're going to work with elderly.
Yes, definitely, Faye. We're being cautious in the work that we're doing. You know, there's a lot of projects that we have in mind, but we do believe that it's very important that we do have a strong platform onto which base them on, so they can be successful, you know, on the long run. So yes, they are in the projects that we are thinking about, It'll be just, we want to do one by one and understand what it means to Montessori Mexico and how to do them.
Thank you. Yeah, a question from myself actually, which is related to that as well. So also, how do you look then at collaboration between different countries with Colombia, with Mexico, and also other countries? How do you see that fit within that framework as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's really important for us as Montessori Mexico to work with other affiliated society and schools and organization. This is an example of that. I mean, there is a terrific work that they are doing in Colombia. Also, the Fundación FENCO, that is the affiliate society in Colombia. And we have been working a lot with the Fundación Maria Montessori in Argentina, that they are supporting a lot with this structure of Horme. And we have been working with Paraguay, with Chile, and with Peru also, and we're in Brazil right now with the different projects. So we know that if we want to develop ourselves, it's not a really good journey or really good track. We need the others to support each others and to construct really all the structure in a better way. And we want to be inspiration in that way. In the collaboration is the way that we see ourselves moving forward. And we understand that there's a lot of needs. We understand there's a lot of effort also, but we really pushing really hard to do it together because we believe that is the best way.
Thank you. I do not see any other questions in the chat at the moment. We have a bit more time. Maybe there's something that you want to add.
Well, just to add a little bit about what Eder was saying, also the support that we have received from ESF and from UFE particularly has been amazing. I think it not only inspire the movement in Montessori Mexico, but also gives us the confidence that, this is not something that we're going to do on our own. And it's not a path that we are going to be walking and just figuring out, where to go next, because you have already done that, in different projects and in different countries, and in having your support and the support of the whole ESF team has been an important part in our decision making and in our planning on, where to go next and how to plan it, to make sure that this is something that will have a long life and also an independence also as a project. And also adding to what Eder said is that we're also working very hard on reaching people in Mexico that have similar initiatives. It's very important for us, we were talking about that yesterday, to sit down and have conversations with people that are already doing, the work, that have already been through the process, that know what works, what doesn't, that know about politics and about, how do you say leyes, policies in the government. So it's important to reach out to people. And if anybody in Mexico is listening and wants to support the work and wants to share the work that they're doing, we're completely open for that. The more, the better.
And something we're adding for that is really funny, but when you start to looking for some person that want to help or want some advice, because we need some advisory, you found something about Montessori. If it maybe is he or she has a Montessori child in the school, or she or he was a Montessori child. So it's pretty amazing all the connection that is really a specific part of Montessori that is already immersed in the society. It's already there. But when you want to apply the Montessori principles in a different context, there's someone there that knows about Montessori, and it really fits exactly with all the needs.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Clay. No, thank you.
No, I think that just really that seems to be the thread. It's really about partnering and about like seeing the resources that people have and expertise that people have, and then coming together. And I think that is so promising to see that there's also so much work that we don't know about yet. But there's so much happening everywhere, and that there's so much great potential for that. So thank you. There was one other question to Juan Felipe. Does the Montessori education in Colombia have anything to do with the new education program? You're muted.
With the new education program, what is it meant by new education program?
I am not sure, to be honest. It doesn't say anything else than that.
Well, I would like to take this opportunity to reflect again on the flourishing thing. You know, it's a very important shift in the purpose of education. Is something we have all to be committed with. It's realizing and accepting that from the heart that every child is truly different, and our education in all forms have to address that. And it's moving from this position of human capital as if we were all the same to something that is absolutely personalized and is everyone is different and learn in different rhythms and ways. And in that sense, I think the closest methodology and method to that new purpose of education is our Montessori method and methodology. And that's why it's so actual and has prevailed for 100 years because it reflects the way we humans learn. And I think that's what we have to look all to guarantee that, and not letting anyone to be attendant in their differences. And if that is a new education, we are in the new education.
Thank you for that beautiful answer. That was really, really inspiring. And I think I don't see any other questions. And I also think that's a really good note to end the session. So that means there's a bit of a longer coffee break now, and then we will all come back to the main stage for the closing thoughts. But thank you very much for joining.
Thank you, and thank you all.